celebrated throughout the week.
No doubt about it. And the men are down in Tampa. They'll be back here for the next 8 years. So I think what's really cool is to see that this has become a home for SEC tournament basketball, right? I mean, this is their home one way, whether it's the men or the women. There's a presence in Nashville at all times, and I love that.
Yeah, it really has. 4 years ago, I guess we were able to extend long term, which was really a first agreement in the country, really, with a college basketball tournament anchoring into a city for that many years. So we were really pleased in the SEC having the confidence in Nashville to do it, and certainly the SEC men's tournament is a primary host here, but we had the women this year and had the women in 18, so certainly enjoy having them as well, and looking forward to the next 8 years with the men, and the trajectory that the league is on from a basketball standpoint is really exciting. And it's you've been here, Darren, so you kind of know that energy and atmosphere and excitement that that tournament brings every year here for 4 or 5 days, and looking forward to flipping the page and having the men back next 8 years, as you mentioned.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, Scott, we've had these conversations in the past, and I think you've made your feelings well known. I've certainly made my feelings well known, and I was very, very pleased to see the report come out because I was totally against the renovations. It was not the right plan, and I'm happy to see that it seems like they're moving in the direction of a new stadium, which is what needs to happen in this market. If that's how it plays out, whether it's retractable roof or the new glass dome or whatever, if it has a roof, what can that open up for what you do and what this market can bring to the table?
Well, I think, Darren, as we've talked about, I think there's 3 major sporting events that right now we aren't really able to pursue: Super Bowl, National Championship football game, and the men's Final Four. So, certainly a roof with a facility that has capacity for the men's Final Four at 50,000 plus is a primary need to be able to bid on it. Secondly, for the national championship game, I think we could be as great a host as any city in the country, given how we can create a downtown campus and environment. But in late January, I don't think they want to have weather be a possible element for the national championship game. And whether you agree with that or not, that's kind of their stance. So it's kind of prevented us from chasing that event, but certainly a new facility would change that. And I feel like the NFL would really reward Nashville. And certainly I don't have any insight to that. That would be a Titans question. But, you feel like the success we had with the draft, certainly opened up the doors there for them to be pretty excited about possibly replicating that for a Super Bowl down the road. So, and I think the big thing is, too, you start looking at a 20, 30-year kind of run. Obviously, we're at the low 20s right now with the current facility, and I think those events come multiple times.
Yeah.
And certainly you can't guarantee that. Nobody can. But you feel like if you could get it early in the cycle, you certainly would have a chance to kind of get in the rotation, certainly for the men's Final Four, for example, where you see a lot of repetitive cities like San Antonio and Indianapolis and those kind of things. So, we're excited about it. I'm excited about it, and, certainly appreciate all the work that Burke and the Titans and the city and the state and everybody who's going to have to write some pretty big checks are doing, because I think it'll really open up a tremendous economic impact opportunity for a city to use through the sports vernacular.
But it's through your conversations, because I know in the past, I remember, Willie knows this, we've had conversations where, behind the scenes we were told, look, the NHL would love to bring an All-Star game here, or there are certain events they would love to bring here, but you got to upgrade your convention center. It can't. We're not going to bring it until you get a new convention center. And lo and behold, that happened, and we've got this new beautiful convention center, and those things came. So those conversations were correct in what we were being told behind the scenes. So am I to take – you have these conversations, we don't, behind the scenes, that you feel pretty comfortable, what they're thinking, it's a no-brainer if we get the right facility, that they're more than willing to bring it to Nashville? Is that your vibe?
Well, I certainly can't say no-brainer, but I feel like we have all the elements. And and you got to compete. I mean, hey, people don't just kind of roll over, as you know, to host these events. I mean, everybody wants those events. But I think we have, over the last 20 years or so, really proven ourselves to be a city that can really not only host a huge event, an undertaking like that, but also make it unique and make it Nashville and make it something that the cities that follow us are really going to have to be challenged to match. And I think our track record building up to that, Darren, puts us in position to do that. Now, you're still going to have to raise a bunch of money. You're still going to have to beat Dallas and Atlanta and New Orleans and Phoenix and Tampa and Orlando and Indianapolis and Chicago and everybody else that wants these events. And, we certainly feel confident in what we have in Nashville here, but it's a competition. And to your point, I think everybody's excited about us being part of those competitions, if you will, or bid cycles, because I think Nashville certainly has elevated itself as a sports destination over the past 10 to 15 years.
We'll talk with Scott Ramsey, Nashville Sports Council. Now, Scott, is it in order to get these events, you have to throw your name in a hat, and then there's a process, obviously.
Right.
When do you start that process? Do you start the process when you know everything is being built and then you go from there? Or do you say, hey, listen, we know it's going to be built. Let's throw our name in a hat for an event, say 6 years, 7 years down the line. Because if you throw it in when it's being built, it pushes you further back down the line.
Yeah. Derek, you've hit on the slippery slope question. And right now, ironically, is the most difficult way to answer that, or difficult period of time to answer that, because let's take the men's Final Four, for example. They're bid through, I should pull this up just to make sure I'm accurate, but I want to say they're bid through like 2026. Mm-hmm. And so here's the question. Right now, they're starting to go out for bids for 27 through 30 or 27 through 31, a 4 or 5 year window. The question is, we're not even exactly set on what we're going to have here yet. We don't even 100% know it's going to be a roof. We certainly don't know 100% of when it's going to be completed and available to host an event. So it's sometimes kind of difficult to engage in the process. And if you're on the other side, do you want to kind of allow a city to be involved in a lot of things that could happen, good or bad, through the construction process, from delays to changes in facility to whatever. So to award us something, I think, in the very beginning stages here is difficult. However, the bid processes normally take a year to year and a half. So the question is, can we engage in processes and also move forward the finalization of what the facility is and the timeline it's going to be on? Now, that's questions I can't even answer locally, let alone answer to a bid committee that's looking at us. However, we want to engage. We're engaging those now. I've been pumping it if we could have a facility for years, as Darren knows. So it's a question I don't have an answer to, mm-hmm. but it's certainly one that we're engaging in, and hopefully the timing will line up. Now, if you miss that cycle, then you just got to wait 3 or 4 years to bid on an event that might be 2030 through 2034, the next cycle that they bid out, because typically they'll award 3 or 4 or 5 cities at a time.
Scott Ramsey is with us. So, Scott, give us the latest, or what to look for next, I guess, with the World Cup, and how that might influence how quickly some things get done with this.
Again, Darren, I wish I had the magic calendar to kind of line all this up, but certainly World Cup in 26, we're still engaged and we're still on the list of potential sites. I think the next several months, before they finalize those, will be a lot of conversations with the Titans in the city on expectations of a facility. Will it be complete by summer 26? Will it not? If it's partially completed, will Nissan Stadium still be acceptable? There's a lot of questions going on, because you think about Atlanta, Indianapolis, some of those cities that built side-by-side facilities and then imploded the old one. There was some transition in there where it was pretty tough getting around some of those facilities. So I really don't know those answers. I can relate it to the national championship football game. Certainly right now, I think while fans may be a little discouraged on the delay and the expansion, for me or for us in Nashville, that was kind of a positive behind the scenes because it allows us to really get our plan in place for the stadium. As they think about their new model, then they're going to look for new national championship sites, because right now they're not sure what week in January that'll be played based on the final model that the commissioner decide upon. So probably I was kind of rooting for this delay to allow us to be able to compete for 2027 beyond national championship game, because right now they're not bidding those out until they get the final model and schedule and timeline done. So there's always a two-edged sword to everything, and that one in particular is one that we're staying really tight on as far as making sure we're communicating with the right decision makers.
Scott, this is one that I know you don't have any direct control over, but I'm just curious your thoughts on how this might work, because the Titans certainly have to jump into this, but it's sort of a traditionally family-owned franchise. It's not super billionaire kind of money. So I'm just wondering, are there other maybe private partners that could jump into this and say, you know what, I want to invest in the city. I think if I throw in there, I can get a return on my investment if maybe I partner up with the city and with the Titans to try to make this a first-class facility. You think that's possible out there?
Well, Willie, I think when you start looking around the country, and everybody kind of looks for the best models for your city and try to maybe beg, borrow, and steal some of ideas from everybody that does it. I think the thing that's unique that again I don't have any direct information on, but I think the thing that's unique about what's going to happen on the East Bank is it's just not going to be a stadium. And I think Burke Nihill's really been he's really made some great points on it's really going to be a neighborhood over there. And part of that neighborhood is also going to help fund the stadium as being the centerpiece of that neighborhood. And it'll allow us to do a lot more community events. We're talking about big sporting events, but also it could open up, the high school football championships and things like that. So to your point on the private sector, will the private sector really respond to the development pieces that now open up riverfront land if you move the stadium back toward the interstate, in parking lots A, B, and C, and D. So now you've got more valuable land. Will that help from the private sector, Willie, in really investing in that East Bank, which could ultimately maybe a second-hand kind of support, but still support that whole development over there nevertheless.
It's exciting to talk about it. I hope it all happens. That's for sure. Scott?
Well, Darren, you hope second most as much as I do.
You're right. That is very true. We are probably going to be a photo finish.
Well, I think we can all envision the unbelievable setting that a Super Bowl, a national championship, or a men's Final Four would deliver for our city. I mean, we've seen how compact, how the atmosphere, how the campus with downtown, and then what would be a new neighborhood on the East Bank would connect. And I don't think there's another city in the country that could create that kind of atmosphere that we've seen for some of the major events that we've done. And certainly we're excited about it, hope we get the opportunity, and I think if we do, our city will respond and really make it something pretty special.
Couldn't agree with you anymore. Scott, thanks for the visit. As always, you have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, you do the same. Scott Ramsey, President and CEO of the Nashville Sports Council. We'll come back and continue the discussion on the other side here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for Nashville's own Jason Fitz with Jared Stillman and company. Fitz started his sports talk career right here on 102.5 The Game, and now he anchors shows for ESPN. Jason Fitz is brought to you by Blood Assurance. Give blood. Give local. Give life.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing. Social Furniture on the West Side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box stores. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
Need cash for that home improvement or want to finally be credit card debt free? How does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound right now? Loan Pronto can do it for you, whether you have a VA loan or a conventional loan. They're helping local homeowners convert their home equity into cash with zero closing costs. Willie Daunic here. Listen, your home value is up. Let Loan Pronto tap that equity and get you the cash you need. Pay off high interest loans. Start that home remodeling project. Veteran homeowners are really loving this because with a VA loan, you can tap 100% of your home's equity. That's a ton of cash. Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They are doing loans with APRs in the 2s. And if you call now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now to see what your options are. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Think back to a time when you've had to contend with a difficult challenge in your life, but that, in the end, came out okay. I'm willing to bet that in almost all those cases, you had someone alongside you that you trusted, whether the challenge related to a career change, a health crisis, or even the death of a loved one. But if the challenge is divorce, and you're a guy, there's a good chance that your trusted friend for all life's challenges to date has been your spouse, whom the legal system now terms the opposing party. This is why guys notoriously are prone to feeling isolated and alone during the divorce process. The good news is you don't have to go through this alone. Let Cordell and Cordell be the partner that you can count on through the challenges of divorce. Call us at 866-DADS-LAW or visit CordellCordell.com. You are not alone.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell and Cordell's Nashville area attorneys. 866-DADS-LAW, 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067. CordellCordell.com.
Driving happy with Febreze car.
You're driving home when, oh no, you hit the longest red light in town. What's this? You're smiling because your car smells amazing. You just installed a Febreze car vent clip. Ha ha! 5 weeks ago. With up to 40 days of consistent Febreze scent, those lights can stay red for as long as they'd like.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is David Poyle. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Don't forget, you can watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook every single day. Our video streaming is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Good stuff there from Scott Ramsey. Derek, I have a question for you, and I really don't know the answer to this, although I think we have talked about the facility portion of this in the past. But a lot of people think, facilities, where you play, where you practice, all that good stuff is more on the college level, because we talked about how, according to NFL standards, really, if you went around the league, the Titans, their facility was basically at high school level. It was not up to speed with the NFL. Well, obviously they've changed all that. They've done massive upgrades over there, but this was years ago. But what I want to know from you is there's all these new stadiums, Vegas and L.A. now with SoFi, and just, we talked about Minneapolis and all these brand new Atlanta, new state-of-the-art facilities. How much does that factor in, or does it, to guys who are free agents? Just guys talking around the league about, I guess, attractive destination. Is that just college stuff, or does that happen in the pros where if you're a free agent and you're factoring in everything, place to live, the organization, the facilities, how much does that factor in, or is it just who's going to pay me the most?
Let's just put the money aside, because ultimately it comes down to, are you going to pay me more, or are you going to pay me more? And if you don't pay me more, then, okay, now I have to start looking at those other tangible things around you if you're not going to pay me more. My experience was when I walked into the facility in Baltimore, I said, this is where I want to be. Because to me, it's just like a college student. You want to walk into a place that you don't want to leave. Like, you want to be there.
Because you're going to spend a lot of time there.
I consider it's a house and a home. Let's go with the house and home theory. Your home is where you practice because you're there, 10 hours a day, basically, probably more than that. You're there. That's where you're there with the team. You're building relationships. You might even do business on a phone there in between, after practice or before practice. So that's your home. That's where the love is. So if that is indeed the case, then you want that home to be one of the best homes in the National Football League. Guys look at it that way. Now, the stadium is more so a house. It's a home to the fans. It's a house to us because we're only there 8 times a year, maybe 10 if you get home field advantage in the Super Bowl, in the playoffs. I'm not counting preseason. Now it's 8? It's an extra game because of the 17-game season. That's more so of a house, but it's a home for the fans. Our home is our practice facility. That's where everything's done. So when I walk in that building, if I'm coming in there as a free agent and I've been to 2 or 3 other places and this place doesn't, it's not on the level as those other 3 places, then you need to be paying me a lot more money to be here because I have to spend all of my time here. I want to make sure when I walk in that building, everything that I need is in that particular place. The Titans found that out. That's why they redid that whole building, because they wanted an environment for those players to come and not want to leave. They wanted that to be their second home. Their home is with their family, but their second home is this football building. That's how they wanted it. When I went to Baltimore, that's how Steve Bisciotti wanted it. A home. I want to make sure when these guys walk in here, they don't need nothing. Everything is there for them, and they don't want to leave this place. And he was exactly right. And that was one of the reasons why I chose to go there. Because I walked in there, it was just like a home. Mahogany wood. Big. It was just immaculate. Some places are not like that. And guys do look at that when they're going on these visits. They're like, man, is this a place that I can be at, 8 months out of the year, during there every day, 10 hours a day? If that's not a place, then you need to be paying me a little bit more money. But if it is the place, then I may take a little less because this is the place that I want to be.
Always wondered that. So it definitely plays a part in it for sure.
Oh, of course it does. It plays a part in it. The city does. Obviously, the team structure does. But, a practice facility is not one of those situations where a guy walk in and say, I don't care how this place looks. I'm signing here. Well, if that's the case, you better have Tom Brady as your quarterback. You better have, the Denver Broncos or the Baltimore Ravens or the Chicago Bears defense. And you're going to win a championship. If that's not the case, then the facility comes into play.
But the practice facility, much more so than where you play the game.
The practice facility.
And access to it.
The stadium is just a byproduct. You want to have a nice stadium, but you don't spend a lot of time there.
Right.
That is, when they build stadiums, it's not for us, the players. It's for the fans.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. It is for the fans. For us, is that practice facility. Because we're there from, some guys get there at 5 o'clock, 5:30. Majority of the guys are in that building by 6:30. So you're talking 6:30 till 5 o'clock. You're there.
Yeah. It's your home away from home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you want to be in a dump for that long? That's why it was so.
And how convenient can you go from there back home? Right?
Exactly.
Can you get there quick? Can you get back? Like all of those things I would think would be important.
All of that comes into play, but I don't think there's a guy in the NFL that said, man, I didn't care about the practice facility. Now, if you get drafted, you have no choice. Like, I got drafted by the Titans, and we were in Bellevue, and I had a better facility at Michigan State than it was in Bellevue. I mean, I think every guy that came into the Bellevue situation, they were coming from better facilities, and we understood why, because it was all temporary until we got our place built. But when we walked into the new place at Metro Center, we thought it was like, man, this place is great, because it was where we were coming from.
Right.
But then come to find out, it was okay. But now you walk in that place, people are like, man, this is
they've upgraded.
This is A+ here.
They've upgraded,
and they don't want to leave. So
that's important.
It's very important.
Well, you want to build it for the fans, but also what you're hoping be if the fans love it and they're showing up to the games, then you're also creating the atmosphere, right? Now, that is attractive, right?
Exactly.
Because for years, I mean, Seattle could say, look at our atmosphere, right? They could sell their atmosphere. I mean, here, when you played here, I mean, you guys could sell your atmosphere. And I know you were also winning, which helped, and it was new and all that good stuff, but you could sell the atmosphere. The atmosphere was a place to be. I mean, the Predators have sold the atmosphere for a long time, right? It is important because you want people to leave talking about what they just experienced, and they're going to go to work or home, their neighborhood. They're going to tell their friends like the experience that they had. That's what you're doing. You're creating something, right? And that is important. And players, if there's an incredible atmosphere at your home games, word gets around, or if you've come in as the opposing player and you're becoming a free agent, you're like, dang, man, I'd rather be on, I'd rather have those people rooting for me than against me. I didn't enjoy playing there. So I just wanted to get your, kind of a player's perspective.
If you don't have a top-notch stadium for the fans, you better be doing a lot of winning.
Yep. That's right. Especially in today.
Exactly.
In 2022.
Yeah.
Like you just that is part of getting people out of their homes. You have to have the amenities. You have to give people a reason, or they'll just stay home. Like that is what we've learned, over a good portion of time right now. I mean, I think if you haven't learned that by now, then you're literally living in a cave. I think you have to fight to get people to want to come deal with, traffic and lines and prices and, everything. And in this case, the elements. I mean, that's why I'm like, just eliminate the elements. Like, don't give them an excuse. Roof the son of a gun and let's call it, let's call it a day. I mean, I understand. I don't blame people that had tickets. Think about all the money you spent. I mean, you have to go because you spent all the money, but do you think that was enjoyable sitting there for that Dolphins game? Do you think that was really enjoyable for people? I know. I talked to people who were there. It wasn't. I didn't talk to anybody that was glad that they were there. They hated it. It was miserable. And most people left early because it was miserable, right? It just poured on them the entire game. And I understand that. Like, take that out of it. Let's just roof the son of a gun and let's get on with it. Give people excuses. All right. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the first hour. We'll get into a bunch of Titan stuff when we talk with TD to begin the second hour of the program. I talked with the folks at Wager last week. I got a chance to meet Mario and David and their crew, and I'm about to tell you about something that's brand new in this market, and it's really cool. If you haven't heard about the new app called Wager, WAGR, listen up. Just came across it. It was just launched in January. It's actually based right here in Nashville, and it's pretty darn cool. Wager lets you bet on sports, but with your friends. That's the twist. You're betting on stuff, but it's with your friends, your coworkers, other people in the state. Yes, it's right here. It's about Tennessee. You have to be in the state of Tennessee to participate. And even me. Yeah, I'm participating. I'm on there, and I'm looking forward to betting against you as well. We do that all the time, right? Oh, yeah? You feel that way? I bet you. What do you want to put on it? Like, we do that. We've done that for a long time. Well, now here's the avenue to do it. So rather than betting against the book that's incentivized to see you lose, you have a person on the other side, and it is wager. It's crazy. You can also smack talk on the app, follow friends, see what others are wagering on, and you never have to chase anyone for money. It's totally different than anything else out there. It's truly a social sports betting experience. I'm actually going to be sending out, and I hope you accept some wagers every day between today and April 1st. So if you're over 21, download the app in your phone and use the phone browser wager, wager.me/Darren. That's wager.me/Darren. Once you're in, join the 1025 The Game crew and send me some wagers. I'll be sending some out tonight because there's NBA games. Don't forget the tournaments are just around the corner. It's way more fun when you're challenging your community, not the house. As always, you got to be 21 years of age or older. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-889-9789.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red Weather Alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Strong to severe storms will continue to sweep through the mid-state for the rest of the morning and into the early afternoon. Main threat with this is for damaging winds.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Nothing makes one feel better than the ability to give to someone in need. You have the power to give the most important gift of all, the gift of life, with a donation of your blood. Supplies are desperately low in our area, and your help is needed. Blood Assurance is a nonprofit community blood center that supplies our Middle Tennessee area hospitals. Please find it in your heart to donate. Be someone's hero today. Go to bloodassurance.org to find a location or blood drive near you. That's bloodassurance.org. Give blood, give local, save lives with Blood Assurance.
Smokeville Smoke Shop has been serving Hendersonville and Metro Nashville since 2015 and is committed to providing high-quality, hands-on, and personable customer service. Stop into Smokeville Smoke Shops in Hendersonville, Gallatin, Hermitage, and Goodlettsville to try any of their wide selection of locally sourced products and selection of top nationwide brands, including vapes, hookah, hand-blown glass, detox systems, e-juices, kratom products, leaf wraps, and much more. Visit Smokeville Smoke Shops today.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with three-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Inside knowledge on the Titans.
Todd Downing's got his notepad out right now, just writing things down.
Inside knowledge on the Predators.
They can go right into the forecheck, and boom, you get a beautiful goal from Colton Sissons.
And then there's a team in Knoxville.
How excited should Tennessee fans be by what they've seen from Josh Heupel in year one?
Wake up and hang out with Robbie and Rexroad. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and The Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Interact with Darren, Daunic, and Chase. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
We'll head east. We'll talk with Vince Ferrara at noon. Tennessee got it done against Arkansas. SEC tournament down in Tampa. By the way, congratulations to the Kentucky women. How about that upset?
That was
Pretty
awesome.
cool.
Mm-hmm. It was
What a
good for
run.
women's basketball, I'll tell you that.
Yes, I agree. Women's basketball, the label has been the top teams cannot be beat.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And there's very few top teams. So it's like, well, who's going to make it? Now, last year, I thought it was a really fun Final Four. I enjoyed watching that because there wasn't this team there was kind of some underdogs that weren't supposed to be there, and there wasn't that juggernaut. So, but I just love upsets and stuff like that.
Well, you got a
That's
big
good
one
stuff.
this week.
Oh yeah, that was good. That's what March Madness. You got to have some of those, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes the flavor. That's what gets it going.
Heck of a run. Want to beat the Lady Vols.
Yeah.
beat the number 1 team in the country. Gotta love that.
Now the Lady Vols, man, they impressed me when they are. Because I talked to Elijah. We talked a little bit beforehand about UT's men and women. But if they are playing at that level, the women, the defense they were playing in the first half and the second half period. But the first half, after about the first about the first 10 minutes, because everything was just kind of going back and forth. But they locked down. And man, oh man, those girls were playing stifling defense, and it was just impressive. I enjoyed watching it.
Murray State gets it done. Congratulations to them. They finish things off, win the OVC tournament. They beat Morehead State. Morehead State beating Belmont. So just a pretty crazy end to Belmont's season.
Man.
So much expectations, and, man, it just –
Well, crazy end of the game. Did you see the end of that game?
I did not.
Oh.
On Friday night.
It was bizarre. Very bizarre. It was a defensive struggle. If you go back and look, Morehead State and Belmont played a game at the Curb Event Center that the score was what, Elijah?
48-46, I believe. It was in the 40s.
48-46. And so, they're going into that semifinal, and that the way Morehead State plays, not the way Belmont plays, right? Belmont plays up and down. They get after it. It's they want to push it, but Morehead State's one of the better teams in the country at slowing it down and playing half-court defense and slowing to call a timeout. He is yelling at the official. The official doesn't see him. I have no idea. He's standing right there. I don't understand what he's looking at. As an official, you don't have enough feel to look and say, I think maybe the team might want to call timeout here. They're down 2 with the ball, 10 seconds to go. Maybe they don't. But as an official, I got to be looking
at the coach.
I should be making eye contact, at least one out of the corner of my eye.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't do that. The ball gets, and this was about 12, 13 seconds. The ball gets knocked into the backcourt, deflected by Morehead State. They made a good play. They almost stole the ball and went down and scored. Great recovery by Belmont to get it. Belmont picks the ball up in the backcourt. Casey Alexander's still trying to get a timeout, but they can't. They can't call it until they get possession back. So finally, the guy comes into the front court with the ball still, down by 2. He passes the ball up the court to the wing on the opposite side of where Casey Alexander is from the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And as luck would have it, now the ref sees that they're calling timeout, grants the timeout just before Belmont launches a 3 and hits it. That would have put him up by 1. So the basket doesn't count. So now you're like, oh, man. And Casey Alexander's like, what the heck just happened? And he looks at the referee and goes, I've been trying to call timeout for like 10 seconds. He was furious, as you would think. Now, they still had time to run a play. It was like 7 seconds left. But they had to rush it. And Morehead State is our great defensive team. They could not get a good look.
It felt like Morehead State knew exactly that
Belmont
was trying to hit Muszynski on the roll towards the basket. That's probably your highest percentage shot if you want to take it to overtime, and they foiled it.
It was tough. It was tough.
Didn't even get it
because
close.
Belmont, one of the things I think Rick Byrd and Casey Alexander are as good as anybody is running a play out of a timeout, key situation. They usually get a good look. Morehead State did a great job of stopping it. So just so tough. I mean, it's you lose one game, you're out. That's it.
That's it.
Something was off with them. Yeah, there was something off.
Well, they didn't shoot the ball. They did not have. They did not have a great. I'm talking about for the season. That's usually a great 3-point shooting program year in and year out. They weren't a good shooting team from the outside this year. Not from 3-point range.
Why do you suspect that is? Because
I don't know.
They're always a good shooting team.
It's unusual. There were some guys on the team that have had excellent shooting seasons in the past that didn't shoot it as well from 3 this year. Yeah. And sometimes it just happens. You get off. You don't have a good year. Lose your confidence a little bit. It's weird how that can happen. It's unusual for a full season.
Morehead State especially figured them out too. And of course, I talked to Casey early in the season on our Hoops podcast, and he was talking about, when Morehead State does, they switch every single screen. Well, LSU did that. Well, defenses they faced in which teams just switch every screen, they struggled with all year long. And obviously it bit them right there too. And if they would have played more Murray State, Murray would have figured that out and probably done it too. So I think the OVC kind of figured them out a little bit towards the end to where they're able to beat them or at least get in closer games with them down the stretch.
I hope. And remember, I went on a rant last year because they got completely hosed by the NIT. I hope that they are rewarded. They deserve to be in the NIT this year. I don't know if they'll get it or not based on what happened last year, but they should do them a solid because they played a tougher schedule this year. Their non-conference schedule is much better. There's no reason they should not be in the NIT. 25-7. Like we're talking about, they had a little bit off year, and they're 25-7. You know, with some really good wins early in the season against some tougher non-conference opponents.
We shall see soon enough. We'll come back. We'll talk with TD. We do that to begin hour number 2 next.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This is Chef John from Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville. Inviting you to come join us for breakfast and lunch. We are offering some exciting new menu items. For breakfast, we have a smoked prime rib hash. Comes with a sunny side up egg, hominy, caramelized onions. It's a great start to your day. We are featuring a sourdough pancake made with a sourdough bread starter. It's a fun spin on the classic buttermilk pancake. As always, Kitchen Notes is serving biscuits all day. Come join us and create a memorable experience here at the Omni Hotel. Food is all about memories for us. We'd like you to start a new memory here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Hotel.
Breakfast at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Get that luxury watch you've always dreamed of this weekend at Genesis Diamonds. Genesis is hosting a spectacular 3-day event featuring a huge selection of pre-owned Rolex watches. Yes, these are the timepieces you can't find anywhere, but Genesis has them. Daytonas, Submariners, Pepsis, Datejust, Sky Dwellers, and more. Come pick out your luxury pre-owned Rolex and get up to $3,000 in Genesis gift cards, plus 60-month special financing. Our buyers are on site for this event, so if you already own a Rolex and want to sell it, you'll get top dollar. Or trade yours for a different model. All Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are hand-selected and rigorously inspected in pristine condition, and our selection has never been better. Don't miss this special pre-owned Rolex buy, sell, trade event at Genesis Diamonds this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Both locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
When Smashville wants to rock.
I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Looking to the sky, saving, looking for a sign of life, 'cause it's too cold for you here.
We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's time for Darren, Daunic, and Chase. With hosts Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, and Chase McCabe. On Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Second hour, Darren, Daunic, Chase, and D-Base. ESPN 102.5 The Game. Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, Derek Mason with you. Teron Davenport, NFL Nation reporter, covering the Titans for ESPN. ESPN.com, his podcast, Talking with TD. And, of course, he makes appearances on all the live platforms on this radio station. He now joins us. Teron, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. I'll tell you what, if the Titans are looking for speed, it looks like there's a lot of speed at the Combine this weekend. Man, especially if you want to take somebody from Baylor. Baylor pumping out the times, huh?
Yeah, Baylor, they always have guys run well, man. That's a really good program there that they have. So it doesn't surprise me. But there's more to it than just speed. You know, you got to be able to do other things.
Yes. D. Mays had a wonderful rant about that
Yes.
last week.
He sure did.
And Chris Sanders was right with him, too. Just, how it's one tool, but it's not the whole picture.
Right. Yeah, we get so caught up in hey, a guy needs speed to be a deep threat, and that's not necessarily true. And also, it doesn't always transfer, Some guys are fast on the track, slow on the field, but there's just something to when somebody's chasing you. Some guys have a different degree that they could, a different gear they could kick into.
Yeah. I want to start with the offensive line. This is a critical week. By tomorrow, they have got to, if they're going to tag somebody, it's got to be done by tomorrow. But let's start with the offensive line, because last week we had Jim Nagy on, who is the executive director for the Senior Bowl, and we asked him about Dylan Radins, and my goodness, he was certainly glowing about him. It was like the first time I heard somebody really like – I mean, I know it was a popular pick when it happened, Toronto. I remember us talking about it, and there were a lot of people saying, oh, good pick, But this guy, again, went kind of over the top about Dylan Radins. And I know Mike Vrabel was asked about it in Indy. As you were there, you know that. And he said he's not ready, but it's our job to make him ready. But how vitally important is it for him to be ready and to be a starter on day one?
Yeah, I think it's going to be imperative because, A, you have the right tackle position where David Quesenberry is a restricted free agent. And then, B, you have the possibility of Roger Saffold being released. Now, he got most of his work at left guard. So if they decide to make that cap move to save that 10.5 by releasing Roger Saffold, it's a tough move. But if that's one that, the dollars and cents dictates, then they need him to be able to step up and start. And I think Mike Vrabel said it. He may not be ready now, but that's a challenge that he's issuing to Keith Taylor and the strength staff, and Keith Taylor, obviously or Keith Carter, obviously the O-line coach. So it's really important because they're going to need him at one position or the other. And it's a second-round pick, and this team has not had the best options as far as getting contributions from their early picks. So this is one that they really need one from.
Here we go. We see first tag. Browns.
Yeah, David Njoku.
Yeah, this guy you talked about with us. So cross him off the list. You surprised by that or no?
Dalton Schultz? No, not at all. Not at all. Just in hearing how Andrew Berry spoke about him at the Combine and how he said that that's a guy that they wanted to, make sure they had back. And they interestingly enough, kind of hinted at being good around Baker Mayfield, just in the way that Mike Vrabel and the Titans, want to be great around Tannehill. So this is something that will help them do that.
Did he not at one point tell the Browns he wanted out of there and he wanted to be traded?
He did. He did at one point, and that was, after the Austin Hooper deal. But they run a lot of 12 personnel, and, he's a necessary weapon for them if they want to be right on offense.
It's just to clarify, guys. See, so a guy asked for – you don't have to always trade him just because they want to be traded. So, anyway, I just wanted to put that on the record. Yeah, he did ask for a trade, and they didn't trade him. Now they tagged him. So how is the offensive line going to play out? Because that is going to be a big – part of the shuffling to make all this work is something's going to happen with the offensive line, right, to make all this work. So I think we can all identify center and over to the left is everything in question. So ultimately, Teron, how do you think it's going to play out?
Yeah, I think they're going to look to rework some things with Taylor Lewan's deal. I don't see any way that he's not back. And center, I think Ben Jones is a guy that they'll manage to bring back. But I tell you what, there's some good centers in this draft. Obviously, everybody talks about Lindenbaum, but you got Cam Jurgens from Nebraska. My favorite center, Cole Strange from Tennessee Chattanooga, who we'll have on Talking with TD in the near future. Those are guys that you could get that could come in. Strange would be more of a guy that will probably not start right away. So I do think Ben Jones is the guy they bring back. Saffold is the magic one. That's the one to watch because there's such a huge cap savings if they do move on. And unfortunately, the injuries, if it wasn't keeping him out of the game overall, he was missing time in the game. And, when you look at all those things, it can dictate, moving on.
So do you anticipate John Robinson using the tag at all in the next 24 hours?
I've heard that there's a possibility that they use it on Landry, but more to just have exclusive negotiating rights, not to have him go on the market. But, information is so up and down. I'm almost positive that he doesn't get away from the Titans. From, conversations that I had in Indy, they really want to bring him back.
Now, Teron, at the Combine, we saw a lot of fast times. One guy in particular, he didn't run because of injury, Jameson Williams out of Alabama. I think he's, if not the best receiver, he's a top 2 or 3 receiver in this year's draft. Now, obviously, because of the injury, it might drop him a little. Could that be a play? Because the Titans need another receiver. Could that be a play that the Titans make if indeed he falls to them that late?
I think it's definitely possible, but this team is geared up to where they have to – they need immediate impact. Like, I don't know that they have the luxury of being able to wait for a guy to help out, whether that be late November or December, as Williams is projected to make his way back to the football field. So it's possible. I don't think it's likely. I think, the one slam dunk, if he's there when they pick, is Chris Olave. That's the one I think is the slam dunk pick at receiver.
Now, he did, I think it was either John Robinson or Vrabel. They did allude to there being a lot of rush ends or pass rushers in this year's draft. I know you said that there's a high possibility that they tag Landry just to try to work out a deal. If indeed that doesn't happen, because that's still a lot of money to commit to a guy. If you don't work out a deal, you're on a hook for $17, $18 million for 1 year. If indeed they don't do that, do you think then they go and draft one of those pass rushers?
Yeah, I think they get a pass rusher regardless. There's a few guys. I mean, look at David Ojabo at 26. That's definitely somebody that could come in and help. I think when you look at Myjai Sanders, he will be a later, probably like a day 3, late day 2 pick. Those are options. But there's 2 for me. And I talked to a guy who's a film evaluator for Talking with TD. I talked to him on my show last week. And he mentioned Arnold Ebukati, who is from Penn State. Now, if you watch him, he wears number 17, so that way you'll know who it is. And that guy is a perfect match because he's very strong against the run. He's a powerful pass rusher. He can put his hand in the dirt. So you know how they like to use multiple fronts. He could stand up and rush the passer, too. He would be a really good option. But they would have to try to manufacture a day 2, a second-round pick to be able to take him. But then there's another guy, Sam Williams. I talked to him at the Combine. He murdered the NFLPA or the Shrine Week. He had no business being there. He's typically a first-round prospect, but there are some background things. He had a sexual battery charge, and that caused him to be suspended, but the charges were dropped. He was reinstated. He said he talked to teams about that extensively at Shrine Week. He ended up at the Senior Bowl and talked to some teams there. The Titans have shown interest in him, so that is another option. And he's a guy out of Ole Miss. He had 12.5 sacks last year. I think he would be a really good fit just as far as a situational pass rusher. So there are guys, and those are just, a few that I mentioned. There's a bunch of them, so there'll be options for them.
Now, is there a top guy that disappointed you in this year's NFL Combine? I don't think Burks from Arkansas, the receiver, I don't think he ran fast or his three-cone drill was fast at all. Vertical wasn't what it should have been. So to me, that's one of the guys that didn't help himself in this year's Combine. Is there a guy that didn't help themselves that you saw?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you with Burks, and it's funny because talking to a lot of people, and this is one of the things I hate about the Combine, by the way, but a lot of people, I never had him as wide receiver one, right? I'm with you on the Jameson Williams side of things. But in talking to a lot of people, they watched him work out at the Combine, and now they're like, oh, well, I can't have him as my number one receiver. And that's the problem with the Combine. You have to trust the tape. I know he didn't show the explosive numbers and things that you want, but you got to watch the tape. And when it comes time to get the football in the end zone and make big plays, he does that. So I think that's what you have to look at. But he would be the one that I would say probably didn't help himself out a lot. And by the way, D. Mason, check out of Western Michigan, the guy by the name of Sky Moore. Okay. That kid is a player. You're going to love his releases. And I talked to him about it. I asked him just point blank, like, how do you make it such a habit of undressing DBs when they come up to press you? So he gave a good answer, and he performed well at the Combine.
Well, that speed didn't matter, D-Mace.
It doesn't, but he didn't. What I was really concerned about was his 3-cone drill and his vertical.
Right.
At that, he's 6'2", 6'1", 6'2". His 3-cone wasn't good at all, and that shows the ability to get in and out of your breaks quickness. Yeah. So, and then his vertical wasn't. You expect a guy that tall, his vertical and explosion to be a lot better, and it just wasn't.
Well, to your point, though, I think that's help me with this, and Tron, you can probably speak. I think it was like Justin Jefferson is really where he turned heads with that drill. I think that's the one that you're talking about, D. Mason.
The 3-cone drill.
Yeah, he crushed it last year at the Combine.
Yeah, there's a lot of receivers that did that, but ironically, with that, just to D. Mason's point, I talked to Burks at the Combine about things that he wanted to work on, and getting in and out of breaks was one of the things. So it just kind of correlates as far as the testing to his areas for improvement.
By the way, Sky Moore, a 4.41 was his 40-yard time. We'll come back more talking with TD on the other side, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Inside knowledge on the Titans.
Todd Downey's got his notepad out right now, just writing things out. Ooh.
Inside knowledge on the Predators.
They can go right into the forecheck, and boom, you get a beautiful goal from Colton Sissons.
And then there's a team in Knoxville.
How excited should Tennessee fans be by what they've seen from Josh Heupel in year one?
Wake up and hang out with Robbie and Rexroad. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Your home value is way up. You can use that money now to pay off credit cards or remodel your house, or both. Hey, Willie Daunic for Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto can convert that home equity into cash as little as 2 weeks from now with no cost to you and zero hassle. Mike and Joan in Brentwood called Loan Pronto, and they did a Loan Pronto zero-cost cash-out refi. They got a check for $100,000. They used $50,000 to pay off all of their credit cards and a car loan. Use the other $50K to upgrade their master bath and kitchen. They locked in a new APR in the 2s and lowered their total monthly bills by hundreds of dollars. Hello? What are you waiting on? Call Loan Pronto now and convert your home value into cash. Put that money to good use. Do it now, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or lowpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Hey folks, Joe Rexroad here for FanDuel Sportsbook, talking Players Championship. It's back. One of the best fields in golf. Now you can take a shot at the Island Green with FanDuel Sportsbook because new customers get 30-1 odds on defending champ Justin Thomas, 2-time major winner Colin Morikawa, or Olympic gold medalist Xander Schauffele to make the cut at the Players. That's right. If any of those players make the cut at TPC Sawgrass, you win $150 on a $5 bet. That is pretty sweet. And of course, there's a lot of other things that you can do with the Players Championship. championship. Always a lot of things you can do with any game or event on FanDuel Sportsbook. Step up to the tee, take a swing. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app with promo code Joe102. Get those 30-1 odds on JT, Colin, or Xander to make the cut at the Players. Again, Joe102, so they know I sent you. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official betting operator of the PGA Tour. You must be 21 or older in present Tennessee. New users only must wager in designated offer market. Max bet $5. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
This is Stan Harrison, CEO of Apple Collision Centers. We understand that no one likes to deal with auto body repair and the inconvenience it becomes in your day-to-day life. I want to personally invite you to stop by and let our experienced staff see how we can help you make your vehicle look good as new. Apple Collision Center has 3 convenient locations, Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin, ready to serve you. Come by and see us or visit us online at applecollisioncenters.com.
Jump in the mind of an NHL veteran as Predators analyst Hal Gill joins Stillman & Company Tuesday afternoons at 5:30.
Here they are in a pressure situation every night because they need 2 points.
And Robbie and Rexroad Thursday mornings at 9:30.
Goaltending, I think it might be an issue at some point.
Presented by Duncan on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. If you've missed any of today's show, just search Darren, Daunic, and Chase on Apple, Spotify, or on your favorite podcast platform.
We're back here with Teron Davenport, ESPN 102.5 The Game. We are looking back on the Combine and looking ahead to some of the moves that will be coming up around the corner. Tough decisions to be made for the Titans. So, Teron, as we sort of put a bow on the Combine, what is the consensus now as everybody sort of sifts through everything? Did it affect how the draft as a whole is viewed in terms of just overall talent depth? From year to year, there's always some opinions. Is this a good draft, mediocre draft? How would you assess it?
It's a stacked draft, and I think when you look at that, what I mean is there isn't necessarily a consensus number one player. I mean, for heaven's sake, you have offensive linemen, kind of vying for the first-round pick, and that's just because of the situation the Jaguars are in. But I think if you look like top to bottom, just the depth, and you look at the pass rusher position, I mean, you could really, really help your team out by getting a couple of solid pass rushers in this draft class. You look at the tight end position, it is so deep. And, the guy I was telling D. Mason about, Jelani Woods at 6'6", 259, he ran a 4.61, and he had 24 reps on the bench with an 84-inch wingspan. And, that's a guy you could probably get on day 2. It's deep as far as, all 3 days of the draft, you could get impact players, and that's something that, isn't always the case. And I think, the receiver position is deep as well. It's not going to get the flash and the attention that most drafts do because the top end part of the quarterback position, there really isn't a guy that you say, hey, look, I got a top 10 pick. I need a quarterback. No question, this is the one I'm taking.
What do you think is the first thing that we will see with the Titans? I know this is, you don't have a crystal ball, Teron, but everybody's so anxious to see what decisions they make. It's going to be here pretty soon. Is there one thing that you think will get the dominoes running?
I think it's the moves, the cap.
Yeah, is it, do you feel like there's one move that they're going to start with to try to get that set so they can do A, B, and C after that? Or do you think they're working on several things and any one of them could be the first thing that hits?
Yeah, I think it'll be several things, and I think, a combination of Jack Rabbit Jenkins release, Kendall Lamb release, that's you're talking about $10 million right there, and then obviously Saffold. So I think those are the ones, like, in order to spend the money, like, you got to get the money to spend, and so those are the things that have to happen.
For people that may follow this closely, but may not have all the particulars. What are our time frames here? When will we start to see this?
Well, the franchise tag is that deadline is today at 3 p.m. And then within the next week you'll start to see a bunch of things happen, because that's like you're kind of coming around the bend and getting ready to really start going. So I would say within the next week that's when you'll see things really start to cook.
Okay, so with the tag, I think all of us have thought all along that it makes a lot of sense to put the tag on, even if you're not sure exactly what will happen after that. You don't want to just set him free. So would it have been done already if it were going to be done? Are you starting to wonder if they're actually going to do it, or do you feel like it's going to happen by 3 o'clock with Landry?
Well, John Robinson said he felt like they had time, and they were, looking at other things that they would like to do with Landry. So that tells me that they're looking to avoid tagging him because they want to try to work out a deal. But if they can't get a deal hammered out, then the tag is something that they're going to do.
Because they can tag him and then make a deal, right?
Exactly. You could tag him and then make a deal, and that's the whole point of doing that. That tag is to get exclusive negotiating rights, because any pass rusher, they hit the open field. I mean, you look, Carl Lawson, he had 5.5 sacks, showed a lot of promise, but, I mean, we're talking, 4 years, $50+ million. You know what I mean? Because he hit the open market, and that's something I think the Titans would like to avoid, because I believe if Landry hits the open market, you're looking at 4 years, $60 to $70 million.
No question about it. So if you they're certainly tied to Bud Dupree now, but how would you evaluate the two? Just take the money aside. If you're just evaluating edge rushers, are they basically the same category? Maybe not the best of the best, but very good?
I think they fall in a very good category, but it's just like, when you were a kid, right? You had the toy, right? Voltron, you know what I mean? And separately, they may not have been the outside of Simmons, separately they're not exactly the number one, but together that front four is ridiculous. And I think that's something that team is well aware of. In fact, I asked Mike Vrabel I said, not from a front office standpoint, but from a coaching standpoint, how important is it to keep that front four together? And he began to talk about how all of their skill sets, like they have different skill sets, but they complement each other really well, and it's a really strong unit. And that's why I applied a Voltron, example, because together they are really almost unstoppable. You saw that in the Bengals game.
Now, TD, quickly before we get you out of here, obviously this weekend there was a report with Aaron Rodgers saying these are basically 3 or 4 teams that he would like to go to or interested in the Tennessee Titans, along with Denver, and I think there was another team was a part of this. How much validity or truth do you give that, what came out this weekend?
Yeah, I don't believe the Titans are a hands-down team that should be mentioned along with the others. I mean, look, John Robinson as a GM, right, or anybody as a GM, if Aaron Rodgers, like there's talk of him becoming available, you absolutely have to look at it and have a plan together if that's something that should come across your table. Otherwise, you're being just irresponsible. So did they talk about it? Yeah, absolutely. They talked about it, but is that something that they reached out to the Packers about? No. And as I said before, when I reported last month, it's not something that they feel is on the table at the time. It's not something they feel is at an option right now. And they're poised to move forward with Ryan Tannehill and work on ways to be great around him. And they feel like their formula is able to go against, the Joe Burrows, the Patrick Mahomes, et cetera, the Lamar Jacksons.
Teron, good stuff, as always, and looking forward to seeing the next move. I guess by 3 o'clock we're going to know something about what's happening with the direction of Harold Landry. But in the meantime, great work on the Combine, as always. If you go to Teron's Twitter, all kinds of information there, and then you can, of course, connect to his page on ESPN.com. Great information if you like to delve into all of the nuts and bolts of the Combine and how it affects the Titans. Teron, we'll talk to you again here very soon.
Sure. Appreciate you guys. Take it easy.
All right, that's Teron Davenport talking with TD. A little bit around the corner. This is what I know. We got Talking Big Orange at noon. We'll have a bubble update for you. And Michael McCarron from the Nashville Predators, 2 goals and 2 assists on Saturday night's rout of the Sharks. He's going to come on with us at 1 o'clock. And it's a massive week for the Predators for sure. Big game against Dallas tomorrow night. Stay tuned. We're coming back.
Every Friday at 8:30 on Robbie and Rex Show, we talk with the legend, Terry Chris, about all things Nashville Predators, presented by Copper Branch on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Think back to a time when you've had to contend with a difficult challenge in your life, but that, in the end, came out okay. I'm willing to bet that in almost all those cases, you had someone alongside you that you trusted, whether the challenge related to a career change, a health crisis, or even the death of a loved one. But if the challenge is divorce, and you're a guy, there's a good chance that your trusted friend for all life's challenges to date has been your spouse, whom the legal system now terms the opposing party. This is why guys notoriously are prone to feeling isolated and alone during the divorce process. The good news is you don't have to go through this alone. Let Cordell and Cordell be the partner that you can count on through the challenges of divorce. Call us at 866-DADS-LAW or visit CordellCordell.com. You are not alone.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell and Cordell's Nashville area attorneys. 866-DADS-LAW, 810 Crescent Center Drive, Suite 160, Franklin, Tennessee, 37067. CordellCordell.com.
Spring is in the air, and that means all kinds of fun in the sun is just around the corner. But if you're feeling low energy, if you've put on weight and just aren't getting the gains from your workouts, if you aren't sleeping well and your libido isn't what it used to be, maybe you aren't looking forward so much to sunny days and shirtless weather. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if this sounds like you, we might very well have the answer, because you may very well be suffering from low testosterone. And that, my friend, is something that can be effectively treated to get you back to the guy you used to be. The Tennessee Men's Clinic has treated thousands of men for low T. Our treatment programs are highly effective, with most men seeing results in just a few weeks. Assuming you're like most guys, you'll sleep better, have better workouts, have higher energy, and your sex life might just improve as well. So give us a call. Just $99 gets you a PSA and T test and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090. Or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Every Wednesday, it's me, Jared Stillman, against Joe Rexroad for Jared versus Joe. Brought to you by Parman Tractor and Equipment. Visit ParmanTractor.com, your Middle Tennessee link belt and Takauchi dealer.
Hey Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey, here. All right, we do this from time to time, or actually a lot. It's time to give something away. And we don't give you the heads up. That's the fun part. You just have to be listening. We're going to give you 2 tickets to see the Predators and the Stars tomorrow night at Bridgestone Arena.
That's a good game.
That's why you keep
Big game.
This on, because you never know. What fun is it to tell you to listen at a certain time? How about you just stay listening? So all you have to do is answer this question to Elijah Campbell at our Hillside Medical Game studio on our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is the question. Jason Robertson, the Stars, got a big win last night in Minnesota over the Wild. He has strung together back-to-back hat trick games. He's not even 23 years old. He is now the 4th player to do back-to-back hat tricks in the last 30 years before 23. He's only the 4th player to do it before they were 23. The last player in the league to do it was in 2016-17, a player under 23 with back-to-back hat trick games. Name that player, and you're going to the Stars and the Preds tomorrow night at Bridgestone Arena. 615-737-1025. That is our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Want me to take a guess? Safe to say? It's not Dennis Rodman.
Well, I was going to say, I would have been disappointed if you didn't say Dennis Rodman.
Dennis was not really a scorer, even in basketball. So,
but in college, he averaged over 30 points.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so he could score if you.
I've never firsthand asked. I watched that 30 for 30 that they did on him, which was really interesting. Really interesting from a lot of different angles. But I wanted to ask some of the guys from Belmont and Lipscomb back in those days. Casey Alexander and Philip Hutchison, and they had some great teams that were national title contenders at NAIA, and Dennis Rodman was there. I've never asked them directly if they – I don't know if they crossed paths, if they watched him. I know they were aware of him because they were the best of the best back then. I'd love to have that conversation sometime.
Well, it wasn't Dennis Rodman. Dang
But, Derek, you are correct. It was not Dennis Rodman. So
it's going to be Dennis Rodman one day.
Mike Lynch did call in, and he did not guess Dennis Rodman because that would be the wrong answer. So Mike is going to go to the Predator-Stars game because he said Philip Forsberg.
I thought that was the answer.
Philip Forsberg.
I thought there was a reason you were asking that.
Was indeed the last player to do it. Back-to-back hat trick games before the age of 23. Eric Lindros did it before him in 94-95 season, and Teemu Selanne did it in 92-93. So those are the four players in the last 30 years, before 23 years of age, stringing together back-to-back hat tricks. So Jason Robertson and Philip Forsberg in pretty good company, I would say.
Jason Robertson has turned into a budding superstar. He's the guy now that is leading the charge. He and Rope Hintz, and then they've got that allows the Stars now to have Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin be the second wave, the second line. And then they're getting an outstanding season from Joe Pavelski at age whatever he is, 37, 38, something like that. So put it all together, and the Stars are as hot as any team. 9-2-1 since the All-Star break. Remember, they beat the Predators in a game that was tied at 3 in the third period in Dallas right after the All-Star break. That kind of sent the Predators going in the wrong direction, sent the Stars going in the right direction, and now the two are basically deadlocked in the standings. They've leapfrogged back and forth the last couple days. Dallas winning again yesterday to go back in front. So you can't say enough about how important this game is tomorrow night. It's going to be massive.
It's coming down.
I keep saying massive. I got to find out other ways to say massive, big, large, important.
Gargantuan.
Gargantuan, gigantic, mammoth.
It's a critical game.
Critical. Yes.
Critical week.
Well, there's no doubt. And really, 2 weeks, because after this week, on the horizon, you've got a trip to Anaheim and L.A. for back-to-backs. You've got more games against playoff teams. I mean, it's just one after another after another. It's not going to slow down.
I'll just take it a step further. Like, these next 25 games are big. They really are. I'll just take it a step further.
This one's a little bigger.
The next 25 are huge for the rest of the season, on how this plays out. There you go, folks. You can't get that anywhere else. Mike, go enjoy the game tomorrow night. Good job by you. Looks like the Browns are going to tag David Njoku. Looks like possibly Dalton Schultz might get tagged in Dallas. So a couple of tight ends getting tagged. And, of course, the report came out on Friday that looks like the Cowboys are going to release Amari Cooper.
Well, teams understand, and I don't understand why the Titans didn't understand this last year. Teams understand how critical and viable the tight end position has become, and how
Does everybody know that?
controlling the middle of the field is a must.
Everybody knows that?
I mean, teams that have those tight ends, they try to keep them. Now, during free agency, if they choose to leave, that's a different story. But they try their best to keep them because it's the tight end position. If you have that tight end, it's an extension of the wide receivers, and then it's an extension of the offensive line.
I'm just asking. You said basically the league has figured out it's an important position, but did this team, did the Titans feel like, did they feel that way when they went into this season with what they had? I don't think so.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said it behooves me to think that the Titans didn't realize that. It's like everybody realizes that the tight end position is a viable position, is a critical position in this day and age passing game. And for them to now, again, when the move was made to not sign Jonnu, everybody, oh, good riddance, he's gone. I don't understand why they said that. Well, look what he did in New England. You want me to tell you why he did that in New England? There's two reasons. One is he went to a new team. He's still trying to figure his way out. And for some reason, when you go to New England, because of their playbook and the things they like to do, it takes you a little bit to get yourself acclimated to the playbook. So I'm pretty sure it took him over half the season to get things going because, again, you don't have the time in the offseason. You don't have that time to put in the offseason that you had 5-6 years ago. To me, that was probably the main reason that he didn't, play the way that I thought he should have. And maybe this upcoming season, it will be a lot better because he will be comfortable with the playbook now. He'll be comfortable with the quarterback, the system. And for people to say, good riddance, he's gone. Well, how did that turn out for y'all?
Well, do you think that they overestimated? I mean, I think the answer we know in hindsight. But do you think that they this is how I feel. I think they really thought that Ferkser would be better.
Ferkser wasn't.
He was good in the role that he was in before.
Exactly. He's a good role player.
So maybe they misidentified him as a guy that could play a bigger role.
Exactly. They wanted to try to elevate a number 3 to a number 1. That's what they tried to do.
In terms of pass catching.
In terms of pass catching. He's a good player, but in his role. Did he deserve to be on the Titans team? Yes, because he played a role in what they wanted him to do. But was he the number 1 guy? No, by far, no way. But for some reason, the Titans thought, oh, we can let Jonnu walk, and we're going to elevate him to be our number 1. It's not going to happen in no world.
I give them a little slack because when you say for some reason, the reason is obvious, that they didn't have enough money for everything, so they had to make some choices. Where can we try to squeeze up?
Jonnu back? They had enough money to bring Jonnu back.
But then what would have happened as a result? They don't get Julio, or
they didn't need Julio.
Well, of course.
Everybody screamed,
listen,
don't get. Half of the people were like, don't get him, and the other half was like,
kind of with you on that beforehand. I was asking the questions, shouldn't they just keep Davis and
I thought they should have kept Davis. That's what I thought.
And I don't know what kind of money situation that would have turned out to be, but the bold move to do the Julio Jones thing definitely had an effect on other parts of the roster there. If you argue that if they didn't have Julio, they could at least kept one of the two, right? Jonnu Smith or Corey Davis, probably, right?
Yeah, and if in a perfect world, because of the way the NFL is going, and it has been going the last 4, 5, 6 years, you keep the tight end. Now, you hate to lose Davis, but okay, you lose him, but you keep that guy that controls the middle of the field for you. The middle of the field is critical in this game nowadays. Everything that you see thrown basically is in the middle of the field. So why not keep a guy that has proven not just catching the ball, but also running the ball? And he was a good blocker.
Screen game.
Exactly. Why?
Run after the catch.
That was a move that maybe they bumped heads, and I don't know what it was. But that was a move that I really, truly didn't understand. That was one I didn't understand because you have a long line of really good tight ends come through your organization, and you let one of them go. Just let them walk. Maybe they tried to sign him. I don't know. But you let them walk.
Well, you saw what he got paid by New England. I mean, they clearly were not in that market.
They could, again, we always talk about what? No state income tax. You could have paid him what was equivalent to what he got in New England and still kept him.
I wonder how much we always talk. I feel like we always bring that up on the Predators end of things. I wonder how much the Titans try to. I mean, I wonder how much that is used behind the scenes on their end.
They should be using it.
I don't know if it's used or not, but I'm just saying, because it comes up so much in both of our major sports, hockey and football, that I'm thinking like, okay, if he went off to New England, their tax bracket is high.
Big time.
In the Northeast.
Big time.
Exactly. So what could you have paid him here that would have been
would have
equivalent?
matched that.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, a player can come back, and the agent come back and say, okay, but I know in hockey, my salary's guaranteed. In football, my guy might get cut a couple years into a 4-year deal anyway, and so I keep the money for the time being, but I can't guarantee my client that he gets to keep that money because we know how players' contracts work. But I would still use that if I'm the Titans as much as I could.
You probably would.
Even if it's 2 or 3 years, that's still money you keep that you wouldn't keep in other places.
But I'm looking at it from this standpoint too. New England Titans, where are you most likely to get cut after 2 years? Which
New
team?
England.
Exactly.
Hello.
You're more likely to get cut or contract restructured after 2 years in New England. We've seen it happen over and over. Yes. Why not? And it could have been Janu. I'm not saying it was all Titans. It could have been Janu, But you got a guy here that you drafted. He's really coming into his own. He knows the offense. The quarterback is comfortable. That's his guy. That was Tannehill's guy. He knew he can count on him to catch the ball and to get open. Why would you let him walk? And again, it probably wasn't all the Titans' fault. So.
Well, you know what? He walked. So.
Yeah, he did. Now they got to try to find another tight end.
Yeah, and I don't know how you do that. As we're sitting here talking about it, the tight ends are getting tagged, or at least it's being speculated they'll get tagged. The deadline is just over 24 hours away. By the way, the NHL trading deadline is 2 weeks from today, so this is a good time of year. March is a good month. There's a lot going on for sure. We'll head east, bring in Vince Ferrara at high noon, but we'll come back. This is what I know to end hour number 2. That's next.
Hey, this is Matt Duchene, and this is Smashville.
Running down the left side with Duchene. Duchene scores! Matt Duchene with the overtime winner.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Strong to severe storms will continue to sweep through the mid-state for the rest of the morning and into the early afternoon. Main threat with this is for damaging winds.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
It's the hits, the cheers, the goals. Who's ready for some hockey in Smashville? Join us at Bridgestone Arena on March 8th, 10th, and 12th to watch your Nashville Predators take on fierce rivals, the Dallas Stars, Anaheim Ducks, and St. Louis Blues. Single game tickets are available now. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to purchase today. Grab your friends and your gold, because Smashville is waiting for you. NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Let's go, Preds.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and it's Conference Championship Week in college basketball, and FanDuel Sportsbook has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can place their first college basketball bet risk-free, and if you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back. SEC tournament time this week. The top 4 is pretty set. I think we'll see an upset along the way. Give me Arkansas to come out of this weekend with the championship. I like the Hogs to get it done, but you take it any way you want to take it, whether that's the Wildcats, maybe you like the Vols to win the tournament this week. Regardless of what you do, make sure you do it on FanDuel Sportsbook. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now is the perfect time to give it a shot. The app is so easy to use. They're always hooking you up with great odds, so you can see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today. Sign up using promo code ROB to get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Once again, that promo code is ROB. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued is not withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Signs First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe of Darren, Daunic, and Chase. I started my radio career as an intern right here at ESPN 102.5 The Game. Now we're looking for our next great batch of interns. You think that's you? Send your resume to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply today.
This is Dan. Dan uses Navy Federal Credit Union to save and invest. Luckily for him, Navy Federal takes the legwork out of managing his money, which gives Dan time to work on other things, like his new auctioneering hobby. If you want to be like Dan, learn about our savings and investment options at NavyFederal.org/save and invest. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission.
Bidder number 63.
Savings products insured by NCUA. Investment options are available through Navy Federal Investment Services and are not insured by NCUA.
Meshing journalism.
They are 2 scores behind you. The math says that increases your chances of winning.
With sports fandom.
I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning, just emotionally numb from Titans and Packers.
And sarcasm.
You guys are the worst.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode. No duh. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Interact with Darren, Daunic, and Chase. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Some things you just know.
I have to know. Do you think everybody knows?
When you know, you just know. It's time to set the record straight. Join the fun on This Is What I Know with Darren, Daunic, and Chase.
We do. We want to know what you know. It's pretty easy. You just call in and you tell us what you know. It's an open canvas. Pair of tickets to see Judas Priest at Municipal Auditorium on March 23rd. If you don't win, Derek will take them. He's going.
Mm-hmm.
So call in and take his tickets. 615-737-1025. That's our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What do you guys know? What do you know?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is what I know. All these fast 40 times that is being ran.
They don't mean a hill of beans. Don't mean a hill of beans.
Yeah, this is what I know. Just what you said. Don't mean a hell of beans. Because ain't nobody just running 40 yards with nobody in front of them in shorts. Okay?
I was in Shelbyville, and I saw him, and I wasn't even jovial when I saw him.
Jovial.
Wasn't even jovial. I was out in Shelbyville, and I was trying to get back, and I wasn't even jovial after I saw all those 40 times.
Hey, it doesn't mean anything when somebody lined up in front of you. It doesn't. You know, that kid that ran it from Baylor and all those fast guys from Baylor, how many championships have they won? None. They ain't win not a championship. Okay?
Nada.
Not a championship, okay? That's
what you know?
That's what I know.
This is what I know. And I had a good exchange with a top-level baseball writer about this. I'm going to bounce this off from other people, but I know that unfortunately this will never happen because of one guy, Marvin Miller, the ghost of Marvin Miller, who led the Major League Baseball Players Union for so long. This is what I know. I think the players would be better off with a salary cap in Major League Baseball. I mean, it's never going to happen. But honestly, if I were the players, I think I would be arguing for a salary cap because it would be better for them. Because what's one of the number one beefs of the players right now? Teams tank. Yeah. There are a lot of teams that decide if we can't win it, we're going to slash it and burn it and just not try to win. The Orioles are a great example. For 5 or 6 years, they don't have the weapons. They don't have the horses, so they just slash payroll, don't pay anybody, and take the revenue-sharing checks. But if you had a salary cap, not only do you have a ceiling, but you have a floor.
A roof.
Yeah, the ceiling is
the
ceiling is the roof.
Guys, we've got a ceiling and a roof.
We've got a ceiling and a roof. But why? So why does it work? The NHL players sat out a whole year fighting a salary cap. But you know what? They put a salary cap in, and you know what? Life goes on. They're actually doing okay. And from a competitive balance, teams like the Predators in a smaller market have a chance to compete. Baseball, they're arguing right now a lot over the competitive balance tax, which is the closest thing. But you know what? The competitive balance tax, only a couple teams get up into that area anyway. So why fight for that when only a couple of teams are going to be affected by that? Why not fight for the dozens of teams that like to stay way down there? If you had a floor, there'd be more money paid to the players. But the players, they will never do that because, you know what? They pride themselves in saying we don't have a salary cap.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, well, it's never going to happen. That's part of the reason why they're sitting there.
That horse is gone. It's never
bad.
coming back.
That horse is at the glue factory.
Yeah. It's gone.
It's way gone. But I'm with you. I mean, I love it.
A salary cap would be better for the Indians. It'd be better for the Brewers. It'd be better.
It's the
so
Guardians.
from the players, the Guardians.
Who?
Yeah,
Who?
the Guardians. The Guardians. Sorry, I pulled a Kelly Holcomb there. Remember, he was the Redskins, man. It was the Redskins. Wait. Excuse me, Kelly. That's been changed for a couple years now.
They've been the FTs for years, buddy.
Now they're the Commanders.
The Commanders.
The Commanders.
Well, I'm kind of mad because now we're doing 2 baseball-themed This Is What I Know. But mine will be short and sweet. This is what I know. I didn't know that bigger bags was an issue. Did I miss the bigger bags discussion? Bigger bases? So they have apparently agreed on some things. They haven't agreed to play baseball this year, but they've agreed to have bigger bases. This is what I know. I didn't know that was an issue.
Well, the issue
has that been
is
a heavy discussion piece.
It's just something that would incentivize. It's something that would incentivize, in theory, people stealing more bases, because teams are so good at putting tags on now. You see guys all the time sliding past the base, lifting their finger off for 1/2 second. If you have a bigger base, I think you might have a better chance of having people try to take extra bases.
There was a lot of you think, you might, maybe. Yeah. I didn't know this was a discussion piece in baseball. I've missed that whole round table of bigger bases.
This is the problem. They're talking so much about the money stuff. They can't get to the things that are broken about the game, and that's one of them. Nobody tries to steal a base anymore. Yeah. There's less action than there's ever been. So I'm up for the look. You know me, Darren. I'm Mr. Traditional. I'm up for talking about this stuff. They have got to add some spice and some flavor in the game. But we'll never get to that because we got to figure out the competitive balance tax and whether it's $220 million or $230
they've
million.
Agreed on it. They've already agreed on it. It's happening. Bigger bags. It's happening. They're like ready break. Something accomplished today, guys. Yeah. Bigger bags.
Hey,
let's go. We can
what,
do this.
You know what would make baseball much better? Designated runner.
Okay.
Have a guy batting and then the other guy runs for him.
In high school, you can do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They could go to the combines and get some fast guys. Maybe get us some guys from
That would give that guy a job who can't play football, but he can run the 40. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, the A's did that. In the early 70s.
Can't catch, put them in that position.
Yeah.
Designated runner.
A.K.A. Billy Hamilton.
Designated runner.
I mean, we used to do that a lot when I was little, when I was younger, young pup, like 10, 11, somewhere around there. We used to have a designated runner.
Yeah. In high school, in Tennessee, you can do it. You can put a guy in to run and then put the other guy back in. Mm-hmm. You know, in Major League Baseball, once you put the pinch runner in, he's got to stay in the game. You can't put the other guy back in. But it's an interesting thing. If you want stolen bases, you could do that.
Designated runner.
Derek, there's a time when I could run, but those days come and gone.
I need to see some video.
Exactly. Are we talking 30 years ago?
No, there was a time when I used to be able to run.
You were stealing bases?
I don't know about stealing bases. I could run, though. 615-737-1025. That's our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Nate, what do you know?
First off, fellas, I need to put a disclaimer out before I do my This Is What I Know. This is in no way bashing anyone or, not being in favor of your endorsements. With that being said, this is what I know. I think the universe is trying to tell me something when the team that you pick a player to score a goal scores 8 goals and you don't win, the universe is trying to tell you something.
I guess so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is this referring to pick 6?
Yeah, pick 6. Because I picked, I forgot who I picked. and they scored 8 goals, and none of them came from that player. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, you took Jano.
Yeah, I took Jano.
I took
man.
You got 0 points.
I took Luke Cunningham. They score 8, and I got zip on that.
I'm like,
you got 0. I got Johansson. I got 1 point. Think about it. We just did.
I was sweating. I was sweating because I was like, if somebody took Yossi, I was like, if Darren took Yossi, I'm in big trouble.
Someone could take Mike McCarron.
I took him last week. No, the last time you did it, I took him, and I got 0 points. So I went away, and I was like, let me try something different. And I did Johansson, and I got a point. Off 8-goal game.
That didn't go very well. Didn't take
advantage of Eric.
And, of course, none of the 8 goals were scored in the first 10 minutes.
Exactly.
That was another question.
No. Eric, what do you know?
This is what I know, guys. 2 things. Number 1, I will not have a repeat performance like I did on Friday. But in all seriousness, guys, I'll tell you what, I am so glad that Art Browse did the honorable thing and resigned from the staff of Grambling. But it's sad that Hugh Jackson did what he did to drive off one of the most famous persons associated with that program, and Doug Williams, and also tarnished the memory of Eddie Robinson with all the great things he did for that program. And to me, unfortunately, as long as he's the coach, Doug Williams was probably still never have anything to do with that university. So I think he ought to resign himself. I don't know if that's going to happen. But this is the guy also that just recently interviewed about the whole NFL lawsuit and Brian Flores deal. So, Hugh Jackson, shame on you. That is what I know. Y'all guys take care.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Let's go to Mike up in Gallatin. What do you know?
Hey, guys. So this is what I know. It must be extremely nice to play for the Vanderbilt baseball organization when your only road out-of-conference trip is in Hawaii. They spent the last 4 or 5 days living it up in Hawaii, smacking around the rainbows, and that's all they got to do. Then they get to come home and they get to continue to do their work at home. I know that out of conference and once you get to the SEC schedule, that's where we're truly going to see. But it was nice to be able to sit back and, I mean, for them, I'm assuming they got to have a great time while they were beaten up for 4 straight games, for the most part, destroying the team they were playing. I almost felt bad for them, almost.
Almost.
No.
Yeah, Hawaii. They did a home and home a couple years ago, and Hawaii has had a really good team. They're not quite as good this year, and they couldn't hang.
Yeah.
3 out of the 4 games were pretty much blowouts. Yeah, it was 2-1 yesterday. Close game yesterday.
Is his name Enrique Bradfield? He wasn't just hanging out on the beach, just tanning. Did you see that catch he made?
Number 4 on SportsCenter's top 10.
He's unbelievable. He is that guy.
He
unreal.
made an unbelievable catch. So he wasn't just out there surfing.
We were just talking about baseball and action. Now that's the kind of thing you need more of baseball. Right? You know, he's a throwback. Baseball used to have more Enrique Bradfields out there, stealing bases, making great plays in the field, more balls in play. I mean, he is a joy to watch. He's a guy that when he comes up to the plate, you stop everything you're doing because you want to watch what's going to happen.
Designated runners.
And he can do more than just run, for sure.
Barrett down in the Borough. What do you know?
Back in 1984, in senior year of high school, when we went to see Judas Priest at the Municipal Auditorium, I would never in a million years thought that 38 years later they'd be promoting Judas Priest at the Municipal Auditorium. It's absolutely mind-blowing. But here's what I know. This one's for you, Darren. And you almost read this on Friday, but y'all got sidetracked at the end of the show. Your Southern impersonation is fair and decent, but you got to work on it, man, okay? You got too many syllables in there. You say Shebble. That's 1 too many. That's 3. It's got to be Shebble.
It's like 2
Wait, one more time. Let me hear it one more time.
It can't be Shebble. It's got to be Shebble.
So it's really like 2.2 syllables. It's not 3.
So no Y.
It's not 2. It's just a little bit more than 2, but not 3.
Eliminating entire syllables to get to as few utterances as possible. And being a lifelong native, you can save a whole lot of time and rolling up the Woodburn. Happy Monday, gentlemen. Y'all have a great one.
Thank you, Barrett. All right, that's a good way to end hour number 2. We'll come back. We'll bring in our man Vince next.
Your home of the Nashville Predators.
Straight away, Yossi scores! Roman Yossi!
Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
At Copper Branch, they live life to the fullest. Food is your energy and your life. Located in the heart of downtown Nashville, their goal is to serve you, your friends, and family quality, great-tasting, plant-based power foods. Visit Copper Branch at 601 Church Street for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with convenient and validated parking during library hours, and download their app for curbside pickup. Or come out for songwriter and live music nights several times throughout the week to empower, energize, and feel your best. Visit Copper Branch today.
The Electronic Express tax refund sale is going on now. Get huge savings in every department, including 4K TVs, mattresses, computers and tablets, housewares, smart home, and more. We have all of your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online with free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Elijah Campbell from Darren, Daunic, and Chase, and I got my radio start right here as an intern at ESPN 1025 The Game. It was an excellent experience, and we're now looking for new interns. If you think that's you, go ahead and send your resume over to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply.
It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity during tax season because so much sensitive info is all together.
Before we start the annual meeting of Sean's personal info, has anyone seen Social Security number? Not me. Nope. Nuh-uh. Oh, no. He's been stolen.
LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, we'll work to fix it. No one can monitor all transactions, but you can save up to 25% off your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, with Stillman and Company.
Surprise, surprise! I write down what was good, what was bad.
Afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's time for Darren, Daunic, and Chase. With hosts Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, and Chase McCabe. On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game.
Smoky Mountain rain keeps on falling. I keep on falling.
Oh, you know that music. You know what it means. It's time for us to head east. Although our man Vince Ferrara at Vince Sports.
Do you think karaoke bars downtown are getting a higher request for this song?
I think so.
Thanks to our next guest.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like it's up. The Ronnie Millsap requests are, hey, what song do you want to sing? Hey, do you guys have Smoky Mountain Rain?
I mean, you tell me that a bar doesn't come to life.
You mean the song they play when Vince Ferrara comes on? Yeah, we got that one.
I mean, the answer is yes, Willie.
Oh, no question. We know the answer.
Yeah. I think karaoke, that song has gone up in this market for karaoke. People are requesting it at a high rate because of Mondays at noon. Vince Ferrara is now on the line with us. Vinny, how you doing?
I'm good. The karaoke here, I don't know if it's had an impact in Knoxville yet because they don't play that for me here. But I'm glad it's making waves in the mid-state. Appreciate
they should.
It.
Yeah, I heard when Kentucky beat the Lady Vols, this is what they were jamming in the locker room. That's what I hear.
Oh, wow.
Well, no. Too soon?
Too soon, very.
Is that too soon?
Yeah, really too soon. Yeah.
Okay. I'll wait till next week then. I'll save that one.
You ain't read the tea leaves there.
Right. We'll go ahead and forget what you just said and flush it, and then you start over next week.
And let's just start there. We had a great conversation with Kelly Harper last week. And, you know, she addressed the injuries to Horston and Green. And it's clear that they're – and I get it. We all know they were important, especially Horston. I mean, they're how vitally important – but I'm not sure they can recover from this, right? I mean, they're just too important. I mean, how is this going to affect them moving forward?
Yeah, not unless they miraculously get Horston back. And, you know, as
is that possible?
She hasn't. I doubt it. I mean, you know, it's a pretty significant elbow injury, but you know, they've been non-committal and not wanting to close the book on it and saying it's day to day, week to week, or you know, stuff like
when
that.
When you see her here in Nashville, Vince, I mean, she doesn't look like a player that's about ready to come back anytime soon.
I'm with you. I know. And, she's with her team at least. But, yeah, it doesn't look like it with, with what she went through. But, and even, I guess, even if she did, how effective would she be? So that's another factor. I guess from a president standpoint, it would still help somewhat. But, yeah, this team just doesn't have end-of-shot clock answers. Now you're taking away a top defender, and then everybody has to kind of move up the ladder there in guarding a tougher defender. Plus, it makes Tennessee smaller in the backcourt. It just has such a trickle-down effect. You have one less player that can get in the paint. Now the rebounding falls even more on Tamari Key, and she's gotten into some foul trouble at times. So it just has a domino effect. And then not having Green as another backup post too, that puts even more pressure on Key. So I don't see them being. I see them having a limit in how far they can go. Because they're just not 100%. And it's a shame because I think Kelly Harper has done a good job with this year's team.
Yeah, I agree. What are they, a 3 or a 4 seed? What do you think? How do you think it's going to shake out?
Charlie Cream, his update today, he has them as the second highest 3 seed. So he's usually pretty spot on. So I expect them to probably be a 3, yeah.
Which would mean, because the top 4 seeds get home games, right? So they'll get a home game?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, well, potentially 2. If you advance first round, you get the 2. And then another thing, you avoid the 1 seeds as well for another. It just gives you maybe another path to get a little bit farther. But we'll see.
The conversation would have been a whole lot different in your market this week and today with you if they would have. I mean, I just can't imagine if they would have blown that lead. Now they end up winning, and that's ultimately what it kept. But they were up, what, almost 24. 30? 24? What was it, 24?
Yeah, 24.
And they win by 4. But still, it's a win. I mean, they finished the season strong. What do you make overall of how the Vols ended their regular season? Now everybody's headed to Tampa for the SEC tournament.
Well, the first half was insanity. I mean,
Lights out.
We've seen Tennessee at times shoot well. Obviously, there have been the really bad games too, but we've never seen a display like that. I think at one point they were 9 of 12 from 3 in the game. Just insanity. They scored more points in the first half than the entire game in Fayetteville. They had 50 to just 48 in Fayetteville in their 10-point loss on the road. So I figured it was going to be a completely different game, and Tennessee feeds off the home crowd. But Arkansas came out with different urgency and energy in the second half, and Tennessee gave up some offensive rebounds and were killed on the glass in the second half. And then it was kind of hard for them to sort of reel it back in. I didn't even think Arkansas played that smart in coming back. They just were jacking up threes that were falling for them and then getting those offensive boards. But, like has happened during the stretch, Tennessee in some close games where they nearly give up the lead, make enough plays to kind of get themselves out of it. They missed some free throws down the stretch until Vescovy made a couple to get it back to a 2-possession game. So that's something that could resurface in an NCAA tournament game, is having a lead and trying to hold on, because that's 3 wins recently where they have had to kind of hold on for dear life at the end, and you have heightened pressure and stress in those NCAA tournament games where you're done if you don't execute. So we'll see. And then Kennedy Chandler's missed free throws is another part of the concern too. He has completely lost his confidence from the free throw line. He's shooting 55% in conference
Yikes.
play. I mean, it's a guy with a ball in his hand all the time that you want him to be aggressive, and then he's going to get to the line, and he's got to get that out of his head. He's more comfortable from 3 than he is from the free throw line, so it's totally mental for him. But, we'll see in the NCAA tournament. This team continues to show a higher upside, that higher ceiling that we've talked about, because they keep elevating play at times, but then some of the other stuff that could send them out as an early exit is still there for them.
Did anybody catch what they said on the broadcast late in the first half on the telecast? Late in the first half, what were there, like 24, 25 fouls called in the first half? Who was it? Was it Jimmy Dykes? Who was doing the game?
Yeah, Tom Hart and Jimmy Dykes, yeah.
Tom Hart and Jimmy Dykes. I don't remember. I think it may have been Tom who used the line when they called a foul. He said, "There's been more whistles in this game than a Vanderbilt baseball game." Well, that was a pretty good line.
Oh, no, that's a high bar. That's a high bar. Now, look, you could put a poll question, which is more annoying, and then you run with that. But, yeah, there you go.
I thought that was a pretty good line in that game. But now it's set up, right? So what do you make of, the top 4 seed? They're just going to sit and wait as the first 2 days of action take place in Tampa, await their opponent. How much of an advantage do you think that is for the seeds just sitting and taking 2 days off?
Well, I think it is because Tennessee is a little banged up. They've had some players sit out, some contact portion of practices. It's been a long season, obviously. You worry about getting out of rhythm when overall you're playing well. So you just never know. And then you have the dynamic of neutral site, a different venue, different shooting backdrop. So everybody is going to handle it differently. The freshmen may not handle it as well as, some of Tennessee's veterans, and more natural shooters like Santiago Vescovi. So it's such a crapshoot on how everybody handles it. Rick Barnes has actually had some decent tournament success. He got Tennessee to the finals in back-to-back years in 2018 and 2019. I was there in Nashville courtside for that unbelievable semifinal between Tennessee and Kentucky that went down to the wire. Just a classic in an unbelievable atmosphere at Bridgestone, and then they went on to lose to Auburn in the finals. So, it kind of sets up similar to that potentially, Darren. You could have Tennessee and Kentucky in the semifinals on the bottom side of the bracket, and Tennessee wins that game and they split this year, and Barnes has had his fair share of success against Kentucky, despite the fact that the Cats always dominate, not only had historically with tournament success, but the fan base as well. It will be no different in Tampa, although I do think Tennessee fans will travel pretty well, but no one travels like Kentucky. And then at the top, you could very well have Auburn sitting there, and then Bruce Pearl's in the way for your first SEC conference championship, tournament championship since 1979. That's how long it's been for Tennessee. So, and Arkansas is obviously playing as well as anybody. So we'll see. But I think it plays out well. The two teams they could face, Mississippi State, they beat in their one game earlier this year. They routed South Carolina twice. So it'll be one of those two on Friday. Good time slot. So I think it plays out well. Just a matter of how healthy Kentucky is, and which Tennessee team we see for what period of time during those games.
We'll come back. Derek and Willie will hit Vince with some more questions on the other side as we continue our discussion about the University of Tennessee. But first, Willie's got a word about Lee Company.
All right, let's talk Lee Company. Big week down in Tampa with the SEC men's tournament. Big week for the Predators coming up with 3 home games, and all 3 are enormous in the standings. Notice I said enormous, Derek. We're working on different ways to say how important this week is here. It starts with the Dallas Stars tomorrow, and Lee Company will be on display. When you come to Smashville, you'll see their display. They're a big sponsor of Predators hockey, including our coverage here on 102.5 The Game. We'll have our pregame starting at 6 and the face-off at 7. Lee Company also wants you to know that they're ever ready to help you make sure your air conditioning unit is running properly during these months. It's coming. The warm weather. People are outside. The weather's getting more. How nice has it been to get the shorts on and the T-shirt and get outside? Well, that means the air conditioning is going to be running inside before too long. Make sure it's running well. If you haven't had it checked since last year or 2 years ago, whatever it is, call Lee Company, 615-567-1000. That's 615-567-1000, or go to leecompany.com.
They are 2 scores behind you. The math says that increases your chances of winning.
With sports fandom.
I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning, just emotionally numb from Titans and Packers.
And sarcasm.
You guys are the worst.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode. No duh. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
Hey guys, it's the new year. Are you still struggling with erectile dysfunction? I've yet to meet anyone that enjoys timing those intimate moments around a pill. Well, now you don't have to. The advanced wave technology at Hillside Medical has been shown by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic to restore and even regrow blood vessels. It can improve circulation and eliminate erectile dysfunction. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us in the next 2 minutes and you'll receive a consultation, assessment, and blood flow ultrasound free. Plus, a special gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. Trust me. This is a $600 value, free to callers now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, get rid of your ED and get that spark back. Call Hillside Medical now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
Get that luxury watch you've always dreamed of this weekend at Genesis Diamonds. Genesis is hosting a spectacular 3-day event featuring a huge selection of pre-owned Rolex watches. Yes, these are the timepieces you can't find anywhere, but Genesis has them. Daytonas, Submariners, Pepsi, Datejust, Sky Dwellers, and more. Come pick out your luxury pre-owned Rolex and get up to $3,000 in Genesis gift cards, plus 60-month special financing. Our buyers are on site for this event, so if you already own a Rolex and want to sell it, you'll get top dollar. Or trade yours for a different model. All Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are hand-selected and rigorously inspected in pristine condition, and our selection has never been better. Don't miss this special pre-owned Rolex buy, sell, trade event at Genesis Diamonds this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Both locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's Conference Championship Week in college basketball, and FanDuel has the best offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can place their first college basketball bet risk-free, and if you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back. It's the college basketball tournaments the way you'd like to bet them. So you can take a chance at a same-game parlay or jump into the action big with live betting or bet with big promotions like Odds Boost. You've been thinking about FanDuel? Now is the perfect time to give it a shot. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook and my official sportsbook app. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and use the promo code JGM at sign up to get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. That's JGM. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Darren, Daunic, and Chase on Apple, Spotify, or on your favorite podcast platform.
Smoky Mountain rain keeps on falling. I keep on falling.
Back at you. Darren, Daunic, Chase, and D-Base. Did I do it right, Darren? Talk with Vince Farrar. Talking Vols, basketball, women's, men's. I'm going to make that my theme song too, Vince. That's going to be my theme song. The more and more I hear it, the more and more I like it, man.
It's kind of catchy.
Yeah, it is. Very much so. Looking at Joe Lunardi's bracketology, his big board, he has right now UT at a number 3 seed, the men's at a number 3 seed. He has Auburn and Kentucky at a number 2. Now, if UT is to win the SEC tournament, do you think the highest they get is a 2?
Yes, I think 2 is within range. There are too many teams, I think, that have established themselves for too long during the season that would be between them and a 1 seed. Another thing is there are a couple of teams there that if it's really close, that have a head-to-head over Tennessee in Villanova and Texas Tech. So I think Tennessee, if they were to win the SEC tournament in Tampa, I think they could get to a 2 seed, but I think a 1 seed would be too far away.
Now, switching over to the women's side, I watched that game, the first game that they had. I forget who it was against, the game before Kentucky. Alabama, yes. And there was a stretch there because the game was a little bit hectic to start off, as you know. It was just back and forth, and no one was making shots. But it just seems like UT kicked it in another gear, the Lady Vols, and started playing defense, and it was smothering defense. If they play defense in that type of fashion, how far do you think they get in the tournament?
Yeah, D-Mace, it's so much about matchups. I think they match up really good against Alabama. Alabama doesn't have the greatest of size, although the guards have played pretty well. But Tennessee had an advantage inside, and so I think you had your guards playing really well defensively. But I think it was just a really good matchup for them. Kentucky has threats on the perimeter inside. Ryan Howard is from the state of Tennessee on that team, and they're playing as well as anyone, obviously, in winning that championship game in stunning fashion over South Carolina. So I think it just depends on who they match up with. Some teams, they're going to be able to suffocate. They've really played good defense all year, and it's a shame that they don't have Jordan Horston and Kean Green, because you see the potential of what they can do in stretches in certain games. They were even better when they had their full roster. So I still think there's a limitation in where, how far they can go playing that well, because it just depends on who they're matched up with.
Now, on a good note, it was bad at first, but then it turned out to be such a showing of love and care for, and tell me if I'm pronouncing its name wrong, Zakia Ziegler. His family lost Zakai Ziegler.